Hello everybody and welcome to this Train Sim World 4 route suggestion. Today I am going to be looking at, and I'm not taking this seriously because obviously this is never going to be a route in Train Sim World 4, but we can have a look at it nonetheless. A few people suggested this. I have previously actually written suggestions years ago in the suggestions forum page. You know, even though we know Dovetail never can look at that. But yeah, it's a cool little line in Sydney, Australia. So we'll have a look. The route, 55 kilometres long. It has 33 stations. Goes from Bondi Junction to Cronulla and Waterfall. So there's sort of there's sort of one main line with a branch that goes off to the side. Although ironically, that branch is much busier than the main line. Maximum speed of 115 kilometers an hour in places, but along most of the route it's a bit slower than that. The underground sections, like from Bondi to Central, that you can see in the image behind, is no faster than 60, but yeah, it's alright. It's a sort of metro-ish service, so you wouldn't get moving quickly anyway. Fully electrified at 1500 volts DC overhead. It's got depots at Mortdale and Everleigh. It's double-tracked from Bondi Junction to Erskineville, and from Hurstville to Waterfall and Cronulla, and quad-tracked between Erskineville and Hurstville, which allows some lovely express patterns. It is one of the more unique services in Sydney because it's more or less fully self-contained. All of the other routes or service patterns generally interline a lot, and this is sort of European in that it has the underground core section, which a lot of the other lines have as well, but it's got its own underground core that was built in the 70s versus the rest of the city underground in Sydney, which was built in the sort of 1930s, 40s and 50s. So it's got a very different character to the rest of the network, a very, very European character, as I said, and certainly the underground sections feel a little bit sort of like a London Underground RER crossover. Anyway, I'll stop rambling. This is a route map. So there's the Bondi Junction to Central bit, and the tunnel goes from here in Bondi Junction. Well, it's called the Eastern Suburbs line, but it's mostly tunnel with a few elevated viaducts from Bondi Junction to Redfern, and then it services and joins the main line at Erskineville, which I haven't shown on here, and then runs quad track through Sydenham Walleye Creek down to Hurstville, and then is double track all the way down to Waterfall and to Cronulla. As you can see, it's quite bendy. You can get up to 100 sort of along here and 115 down from Sutherland to Waterfall. And this is the Cronulla branch, which sort of pokes out. Cronulla is on a beach as well, which is pretty nice. There are some bridges in places as well, but nothing super noteworthy. It doesn't go over the harbour bridge. So, yeah, nothing spectacular, no famous Sydney sights, unfortunately. The rolling stock, I would, if I, was controlling the world, have a Sydney Trains T-set Tangara and a New South Wales Trainlink H-set Oscar. So the Tangara is on the top, the Oscar's on the bottom. The Tangaras they're both 4-car trains, they're both electrified, and they can both hit that 115 km/h speed limit. The Tangara is a bit older, as you could probably tell, bit more sort of mechanical, a bit more personable to drive, I guess. There's somewhat computerized, but they've still got separated power controller from the brakes, and all the charm that make older trains nice. But they're still relatively modern. They certainly they don't look especially old, and I think they look fantastic. These run most of the services from Bondi Junction to Waterfall and Cronulla. Almost all of the slow services, most of the express trains, and they always run, more or less almost run as 8-car sets. The Oscars, on the other hand, can run as 4 or 8 car sets, and these run the express trains that go from Central or sometimes Bondi Junction way down south, far beyond the bottom extent of the line that I'm suggesting. Most of them don't stop at Waterfall, so you have to, if we come back to the map, most of them don't stop between Waterfall and further south, so that you could really realistically only drive them from Sutherland up to Walleye Creek, and then sort of they continue up to Central above ground platforms. But the peak hour trains do continue underground all the way into Bondi Junction, so you could get an extra 10-15 odd kilometres of trackage from that. But yeah, they're both very interesting trains. They're both fully double-decker, and you can have a look at some other stuff on this if you are so inclined. The timetable, this is one of the other underground stations. This is Edgecliff. I know it's a low-res image, but there aren't many good modern photos of it, and it's just so unusual for Sydney. Anyway, the off-peak timetable is 2 trains per hour, all stops Waterfall to Bondi Junction, not stopping at Janelli, Como and Oatley. 2 trains per hour fast from Cronulla to that's meant to be Bondi Junction. 2 trains an hour fast from Cronulla to Bondi Junction. I don't know why I wrote Hurstville. I am a bit tired. 2 trains an hour, all stops Cronulla to Hurstville, so a train every 15 minutes from Cronulla. And there's 1 express intercity train by the H sets from Sutherland to Walleye Creek. Some of them would start at Waterfall, some of them end at Bondi Junction. And there are additional on-peak trains, so those 1 train per hour expresses increase to 3 trains per hour. And there are additional services from Hurstville to Bondi Junction, and all up that makes for a train every 18 trains per hour, or sort of just over every 3 minutes in each direction from Bondi Junction to Central in the busiest peak. And now I've just collected some of my favourite bits of the line. This is Bondi Junction. Again, you can see the influence of European systems here with the single bore tunnels. Do quite like it. It's starting to feel a little bit tired, but still quite modern. I don't like the bland concrete though, but that's besides the point. This is Sydenham Station. This is of course above ground and on the quad track section. The local service is provided by a different line, which wouldn't really be able to have any stock because they don't operate either the Tangara or the H set, but that's neither here nor there either. The T4 services, the services that I'm talking about, would only use 2 of the 6 platforms at this station. This is Walleye Creek. It's an infill station, so it was built long after the rest of the line opened when they built the airport line in the year 2000, and it has subsequently become super dense as an area. A really, really apartment-centric place, as you can tell from this image. This is Koogee Station, and this is on the quad track where there are the routine express trains on the 2 right-hand tracks and all stops trains on the 2 left-hand side tracks. Or am I... No, I'm wrong? Am I? Hang on, I've got to think this through. Yes, I am. It's slow services on the right and fast services on the left. Yes, but there can be express trains on either, and there can be stopping trains on either. And some of the stations on this quad track are out in the open. Some of them have buildings on top of them, and they look a bit sort of funky, but I don't have any more. But a few of them do look like this, and they're a bit strange. Bit American in the sense, with the columns on the platforms. This is Mortdale Maintenance Centre. I couldn't find a more high-res image than this, unfortunately, but it's a fairly large depot, and this is where both T and H sets are maintained. And there are a lot of deadhead runs that I didn't mention earlier, like empty services to and from Bondi Junction to here, and shunting stuff and all the rest of it that you'd expect from a depot. So that's a bit more interesting. This is Kirrawee, I believe, or is this Woolooware, on the Cronulla branch. And this is a new station, as you can probably tell. You know, the sleepers are very clean, the ballast is very clean, the concrete's all very clean. And that's because this Cronulla branch, it's existed for, you know, probably over a century now. But for most of its life, until sometime in the 90s or possibly even the early 2000s, it was single track only, and when they were doubling the line they had to more or less rebuild the whole thing, which is why you can see this at a heritage building awkwardly stuck in the middle of this new island platform. So almost all of the stations on the Cronulla branch except the two on the end, Cronulla and Sutherland, are sort of this new feel, which is interesting because it's, you know, an old corridor but new tracks and or more or less new stations. And this is Cronulla. Cronulla's interesting because it has, instead of two platforms side by side, it has one really long platform and the tracks sort of swap over. And you can see here one train is in the top berth in what is called Platform 1, and Platform 2, which is sort of the further away, is empty. And I don't know anywhere else that has this. I know split platforms exist where, you know, one platform can be run separately, like Platform 1A and 1B, but I've never seen somewhere where the tracks are physically separated. Although I'm sure they exist somewhere, and if you know of them, do leave it in the comments below. And do I have anything else? Oh, Waterfall, yes, and this is the other southern extremity. The line obviously continues beyond here. And it's, you know, a very what am I talking about? It's a very quiet station, not much going on here. Only two platforms, and the express trains that don't stop are often routed through the wrong platform, so often they use Platform 2 to stable trains, which would normally be the southbound main line track, but if there's a train terminated there, then they'll send the express trains in Platform 1 on what should be the northbound line. Anyway, that is the Eastern Suburbs and Illawarra line. If you think this should come to Train Sim World, then like the video. It almost certainly won't, so we'll have to see. Hopefully we can get some Australian content at some point, but yeah, in the next week I'll be returning to some more feasible videos. If you want me to do a video on your preferred route, or you want me to make a video like this about a route of your choice, then hop onto my Discord server. There is a channel in there called Submit Ideas, and yeah, just fire away, and I pick the best ones every week and turn them into a video, and yours could be next. And with that said, thank you so much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, then like. If you really enjoy it, maybe think about subscribing. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.